Thank you so much for joining this lesson. We shall be discussing the Crescendo joint examination. This is a paper done by Orero boys. It's also done by Agoro Sare, sometimes Asumbi girls, and many other serious schools. So let us go through the paper word by word so that you may know what they are predicting for the KCSE 2025. Remember our program for the December holiday. We're calling it the one-term ahead program. We shall be covering from the 20th of November to the 12th of December 2025 via Google Meet, the term one work of 2026. So we invite all the continuing students. The Form 4 candidates may not enroll to this because they are preparing for colleges and universities. But for the continuing students in junior school and also in senior school are highly invited. Our consultation number is already on this poster. Please reach out for more. 0704 15 33 66. That's our hotline. You can reach out anytime. Number one, without using mathematical tables or calculator, evaluate the cube root of 0.729 multiplied by 409.6, then divide by 0.1728. So let me work out whatever is inside the brackets first before we proceed to find the cube root. So we start by making them whole numbers. 729 times 4096. Now when this one is multiplied by 10,000, we will not have any decimal. What about when we multiply by 10,000, the numerator? That's the numerator, the denominator. We get 1728. So it requires the same number of zeros. It requires the same multiple of 10 to do away with the decimals, the third root. Then now we'll be able to divide now this one. 729 multiplied by 40, 96 out of 1728. This gives us 1728. Yeah, 1728. 1728. So we are supposed to find now the third root of 1728, whereby we need to use the factorization method. So 1728 should be factorized by 2. We get 864. By 2 again, we get 432. And by 2, we get 216. Then by 2, we get 108. And by 2 once again, we get 54. Then by 2 again, we get 50. Okay, 54 divided by 2, we get 27. So this will be 27. By 3, 9. And by 3, 3. So we can see that now we are finding the third root of 2 times 2 times 2. Then 2 times 2 times 2. And finally 3 times 3 times 3. When the number has been written now as a product of its prime factors. To find cube root, it means for every 3 common factors, we pick one. So from the first 2's, we pick only 1, 2. From the next combination of 3 2's, we pick only 1. And these are 3's, which are 3. We pick only 1, 3. So now the cube root shall be 4 by 3, which is exactly 12. So the answer in number 1 is 12. Factorization to find cube root. Look at number 2. 3 numbers are such that a squared times b times c power 4 equals to 720. Find the value of c power 9. C power 9. This one is a very technical question. We're supposed to factorize 720, then we ensure that it takes these factors, a factor to be in power 2, another one to be in power 1, and another one to be in power 4. So 720 factorized. Let's check by 2. No, this one divided by 2 gives us 360. Then we proceed by 2 again to give us 180. By 2 again. By 2, this one gives us 90. And by 2 again, we have 45. Then by 3, 45 divided by 3, we get 14. Divide by 3, we get 5. Therefore, 720, you see, 720 equals to 2 power 4 times 3 power 2, then times 5. Now, this means if we are to arrange it to take this format, then it means we need the term which is squared times b, which is now 5, times 2, which is now 2 power 4. So that we may say that in our case now, the value of a is 3 because a has been squared and 3 is also being squared. The value of b, which is 2 power 1, is 5 because 5 is 2 power 1. The value of c, which is 2 power 4, is now 2 according to that. So now we need to find the value of 2 power 9. That's what we want now. 2 raised to power 9 becomes 512. A very interesting question. 512. Look at number 3, ladies and gentlemen. A very good question. And just to ask, are you a subscribed member of Shifting Grades? What are you waiting for? Have you referred your friends to this platform? If not yet, then what are you still waiting for? Most welcome to our platform. Make sure you join us. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you invite friends to our wonderful platform. Number 3, express 4x minus 5 divided by 2 minus 2x minus 1 divided by 6 as a single fraction in its simplest form. So let's check. First, we're supposed to find what we call the LCM of both 2 and 6. And because 2 is a multiple of 6, then the LCM is 6. 6 divided by 2, we get 3. 3 multiplied by 4x minus 5. Then minus 6 divided by 6, we get 1 times 2x minus 1. That way. So we open brackets 12x minus 15. Then minus 2x, but now this becomes positive 1. Then everything out of 6. At this point, now we can group terms together by saying 12x minus 2x becomes 10x. The negative 15 plus 1 becomes negative 14 out of 6. Yeah, out of 6 now. Yeah, out of 6 like that. So that's how we work it out. That is how we work it out. Remember, we can also choose a simplified form. So not already simplified. Something is common from what we can see here. If we factor out 2, we'll have 5x minus 7. Then this is already 6. By 2, 1. And by 2, we shall have 3. So 5x minus 7 over 3. That is now the most simplified form of the expression. Hence, solve for x. Hence, you solve for x, given that this is equal to 11. Therefore, whatever we've simplified now, all this, which is 5x minus 7 out of 3, equals to 11. So we can multiply through by 3. So that 5x minus 7 becomes 33. 5x equals to 40 when we take the 7 to the right-hand side. So to remain with x, we divide through by 5. And the value of x becomes 8. Because 40 divided by 5 will give us x. Number 4. On a certain day, an exchange bureau bought and sold foreign currencies as shown in the table below. We have the currencies there. 3 currencies: US dollars, sterling, pounds, and South African rand. We can see the buying and the selling in Kenya shillings. A Kenyan businessman arrived in Kenya in possession of 2,000 US dollars and 5,000 South African rands. The businessman used 65% of the money to buy goods in Kenya. He changed the balance of the money into sterling pounds. Calculate the amount of money to the nearest pound obtained. All right, we're supposed to say this. When you are converting foreign currency to Kenyan currency, we use the buying column and we multiply. When converting Kenyan currency to foreign currency, we use the selling column and we're supposed to divide. Therefore, we're going to use the first acronym for KEBU and we multiply. So we convert first 200,000 or 200 sterling pounds times the buying column of the bank for US dollars. So US dollars are 2,000 and each is bought by the bank at 157. So how much Kenya shillings will he receive from the US dollars? This is 31,400. Sorry, 314,000 Kenya shillings. Again, we are to convert 5,000 South African rands using the rate of 8.35 according to the amount on the buying column. This shall be equal to 8.35 times 5,000. That gives us 41,750. So the total that he has in Kenya, while coming in Kenya, is when we add the two. 314,000 and we add 41,750. So we have 355, 750. So that is the total amount in Kenya shillings the businessman is having while in Kenya. Now he's going to spend 65% of this money. Then the balance is being converted to sterling pounds. So the balance shall be, if 65% is used, then 35% of this money remained. So we can go to the balance directly. So the balance is going to be, we multiply this by 355,750 over 100. This now gives us 124,512 and 50 cents. This is the amount in Kenya shillings that the businessman is having after buying some goods in Kenya. Now, this one has to be converted to sterling pounds. Therefore, we shall say that the Kenyan amount to be converted to foreign currency, we use the selling column and we shall divide. In other words, the bank will sell to you sterling pounds when you go to the bank. 124. How many sterling pounds will you buy if the bank is selling at this rate? 199.47. So you divide. So we're going to have divide by 199.47. This gives us 6, 2, 4, 1, 2, 2. But remember, we've been advised to give the answer to the nearest pound. So the accurate answer will be 624. Yeah, 624. Very simple. 624. That is now the right answer. Yeah, that is the right answer. Okay, let's look at number 5, ladies and gentlemen. The image of P, -2, 5, and our translation T is P prime 2, 2. Then Q prime, which is a 9, -5, is the image of Q. Under the same translation T, determine the coordinates of Q. The first thing that we're supposed to work out here is the translation vector. We know very well that a translation vector plus object should give us image. Now with this understanding then, a known translation vector plus image, which is P, -2, 5, we make it a column vector like that, equals to the image of P, 2, 2. And with this now we can say X becomes X minus 2 equals to 2. So it shall be 4. Then Y becomes Y plus 5 equals to 2. So 2 minus 5 will give us a -3. So the translation vector is 4, -3. That with the translation vector, ladies and gentlemen, we are supposed now to proceed and now relate it to Q. The coordinates of Q are not known, but when we take 4, -3, the translation vector, plus AB, which is the column vector of Q, we should get the image of Q, 9, -5, is according to what we said here. Therefore, we'll be able now to get 4 plus A equals to 9, meaning that to remain with A, 9 minus 4, which is 5. -3 plus B equals to -5. So to remain with B, -5 plus 3, which is -2. So the coordinates of Q now shall be 5, -2. Very simple. 5, -2. A very simple question. So you're supposed to master that whenever you have a translation vector plus the object, you usually get image. Then with that understanding now, you can find either unknown images or unknown images or unknown objects. You can just find whatever the examiner is asking. We're looking now at number 6. The length of 3 wires was 0.3 meters, 0.36 meters, and 0.84 meters pieces of wire. The pieces of wires they were cut from pieces of wires of equal length were cut from the 3 wires. Calculate the least number of pieces obtained. The least number of pieces obtained. I want you to understand that question. First, we are supposed to divide these lengths, and you will allow me convert them to centimeters so that the lengths of the wires now are in whole numbers. So 0.3 becomes 30 centimeters, then 36 centimeters, then 84 centimeters that way. So these wires now are going to be divided into equal lengths. So the equal length shall be which one? The equal length shall be the number that can divide both 30, 36, and 84 uniformly without a remainder. And it's the least one. That means we need now the GCD, the greatest divisor that can divide both of them. The greatest that can divide both of them is their GCD. Therefore, we now, sorry. Yeah, so we find now the GCD. We find the GCD. We divide by 2 first. This is 15, and this is 18, and this is 42, right? Then we can't divide by 2 again. We are looking for common divisor, a common divisor. Therefore, 2 cannot divide 15. So we can check whether 3 can divide. By this is 5, and this is 6, and this, okay, divide by 3, we get 14, right? We get 14. Yeah, we get 14 at that point. Therefore, 5 is already a prime factor. So we can't continue dividing by anything common now. The GCD is exactly 2 by 3. So we're going to get 6 centimeters as the greatest piece that can be cut now. So the pieces will be of 6 centimeters. So 6 centimeters from the 30 centimeter wire, we shall get 5 pieces. 36 using pieces of 6, we get 6 pieces. Then 84 out of 6. 84 divided by 6, so this is exactly 14 pieces. So we have 5 plus 6 plus 14 pieces. When we add 11 plus 14, we're getting 25 pieces. So we shall obtain 25 pieces from these particular wires. A very good question. You're supposed to know that if you are dividing the wires, of course, you should get something that can divide all of them commonly. So we talk about a divisor. In case you are joining to make, you should have gotten a multiple of what has been provided. That means we would have talked about the LCM. Very simple. I also mentioned that sometimes you are given the dimensions of a square tile. Okay, the dimensions of a rectangular tile to find a square room dimension which is being covered. From tiles to the room, we find LCM. But in case you're given the dimensions of a rectangular room, for you to find square tiles, it should be the GCD, because the tiles should be divisors of the room, but the room is a multiple of the tiles. Therefore, from tiles to room, LCM, because the room is a multiple of the tiles. And from the dimensions of the room to the measurement of a tile, it should be GCD, because the tiles are divisors of the room. We check now number 7. Using a rule and a pair of compasses only, construct a trapezium ABCD in which AB is parallel to DC, AB 10, AD 6, then DC 5 centimeters. The angle BAD equals to 75. Then drop a perpendicular from C to meet AB at X, sorry. Then you measure CX. So let's work out again this particular construction together. We begin by doing the line AB, which is 10 centimeters. AB 10 centimeters. So this is point A. And you measure 10 centimeters for us to get B. This one, we're going to ensure that you're well guided. The question. Let me extend the line because there are very many things to be constructed after the line. Now, the angle BAD, angle BAD. Look at the angle BAD. With AB, we need to know that now it is the angle at A, which is 75 degrees. And this should be constructed without a protractor. We squarely construct it. So we stand at A and we make arcs on these sides so that when we stand on those arcs to make other arcs on the upper side, we are able to raise a perpendicular at that point. We raise a perpendicular at that point. We need 75, remember? Therefore, and it should be on the inner side. So we stand at A and we construct 60 degrees. Then standing at this point and using the same measurement, we make an arc on the upper side. So that with that arc now, whatever we are producing here is 60 degrees. Now with 60 degrees here, it means we have remained with 30 degrees. What about bisecting 30 degrees? The 30 that has remained. Bisecting 30 will give us 15. So stand at A, we make an arc, we make an arc. So that's standing on those arcs, we make other arcs. And once I produce a line there, I'll have bisected the 30, giving me 15 degrees. And when I combine 15, and 60, I'll be talking about the 75 that we wanted. So that is the angle of 75. You raise a perpendicular, you construct 60, you remain with 30. Then now you bisect the 30. Once 30 has been bisected, you get 15 and 60, giving you 75. What about the length of A to D? A to D is given as 6. A to D is 6. If A to D is 6 now, you're supposed to stand at A using a measurement of 6 centimeters. Now you make an arc. So I make an arc here. That becomes my point D. This is 6 centimeters. Yeah, 6 centimeters like that. What else have we been given? From the length from D to C is 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters. Now this means that we can first of all draw a parallel line to AB. Which lines are parallel? DC and AB. Therefore, we can first stand at D using the length of, it's like we're using the parallelogram method. It's like we want to do a parallelogram. So you stand at B with 6 centimeters and you make an arc. Then you stand at C with 10 centimeters and you again make an arc. You again make an arc. Now that arc meets the first one. And you should be able to know that the point of intersection there, let me repeat that so that you may understand. I'm behaving as though I want to do a parallelogram. That's why I'm standing at B. I make an arc. Then I stand at D. Remember the arc made from B, I'm using 6 centimeters. I stand at A, I stand at D, and I use 10 centimeters. I use 10 centimeters to make an arc like that. So now if I produce a line with reference to that arc, this line is going to be exactly parallel to AB. But now along this line, I'm only supposed to measure 5 centimeters so that I get C. Because D to C is 5 centimeters. And now I join it. That point now should be joined to B. Now I'm having my trapezium. I am having my trapezium. Drop a perpendicular from C to meet AB at X. To meet AB at X. Therefore, what I'm supposed to do in the dropping of a perpendicular, I stand at C and I make arcs on line AB. So I make arcs on line AB and make arcs like that. Then where the arcs are cutting the line now, at this point, I make an arc on the upside, and at B, at the other point, I also make an arc to cut the first one. Then now I join C to the intersection of the arcs. That shall be now my perpendicular line. So this becomes the point X. It's a perpendicular line, and that becomes the point X. Then now you can proceed to measure the length CX. A very good question on construction. You can try it later and confirm your length CX using the comment section. If you're doing it and you have geometrical instruments, please confirm whether you can get the value that you need. Look at number 8. Find the equation of the normal to the curve y equals to x squared minus 3x plus 7, at which the gradient, at a point where the gradient equals to 5. All right, so we can first find the gradient function. Gradient function is when you differentiate the function of the curve. Therefore, gradient function shall be dy dx. Yeah, so dy dx shall be equal to, we differentiate this becomes 2x minus 3, like that. So this is the gradient function. But now we are told that there is a point where gradient is 5. There is a point where gradient is 5. So where gradient is 5, if gradient is 5, what shall be the value of x? If the value of gradient is 5, then x shall be 4. And if x is 4, we can find y. At the point when gradient is 5, the value of x is 4. Then what about y? Y shall be equal to x squared, so 4 squared, minus 3 into 4, plus 7. So the value of y is 16 minus 12 plus 7. This gives us 11. So the coordinate itself is coordinate 4, 11. And the gradient of the curve is 5. Gradient of curve is usually equal to gradient of the tangent at that particular point. But now a normal is a line which is perpendicular to the tangent at that point, meaning that the gradient, if gradient of the curve was 5, then gradient of the normal shall be -1 out of 5, because the two gradients being perpendicular to one another should give us a -1. Therefore, with this now, I should express now the gradient y minus the y coordinate, x minus the x coordinate, like that. Across multiplication, where will across multiplication take us to? Let's check. Now we need to have 5y minus 55 equals to -x positive 4. So 5y equals to -x plus 59. How can you remain with y? -x over 5 plus, when I take 59 out of 5, I'll be having 11 and 4 over 5. So this is now the equation of the normal that we're interested in. So that is it. A very good question. Let's look at number 10. Find the values of x that satisfy the inequality 3x plus 1 less than or equal to 4 plus 7x less than 3x plus 11. Hence, show your solution on a number line. Let's first get two simple statements so that you may express them. From 3 all the way to 7x. So 3x plus 1 less than or equal to 4 plus 7x. When we group terms together, we can remain with 1, but when we bring 4 there, it will be minus 3. 1 minus 4 less than or equal to 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is 4x. So that we say x should be negative 0.75. That is the first simple statement. Now the next, we start from 4 all the way to 11. So 4 plus 7x less than 3x plus 7. 3x plus 7, yeah. With this now, we should be able now to talk about, grouping of terms once again. You see 7 and 3x, that becomes 4x. Less than, let's look at 11 minus 4. 11 minus 4 should give us 7, okay? So the value of x now should be less than 7 out of 4, giving us 1.75. 1.75 like that. So that is it. Now let's check on a number line. You know, we are supposed to first find the values of x. And I'll first give the compound statement, the two simple statements. Negative 0.75 less than or equal to x less than 1.75. Now the integral values within these shall be, you know, I will list them, but check from a number line. Check from a number line. 0, 1, 2. Negative 1, negative 2, like that. So we have negative 0.7 is somewhere here. And according to the nature of inequality there, this value is included. So you shade it like that. But at 1.75 value, which might be at some point here, that one is not going to be shaded because it's not inclusive. Yeah, like that. Therefore, that's the representation on a number line. So you can see the values of x within the range is just 0 and 1. Yeah, 0 and 1. Very simple. 0 and 1. That one. Looking at number 10 now. Remember, even if negative 0.75 is inclusive as a border, it's not an integral value. It is not an integral value. So let's be very careful when responding to the questions like that. Remember to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to share so that you may invite a friend to our wonderful programs. Number 10. In a tower viewing point, 30 meters above the ground, the angle of depression of an object on the level ground is 32, and the angle of elevation of an airplane vertically above the object is 43. Calculate the height of the plane above the ground in 3 significant figures. Now, this one is made simpler by what we call sketching of the diagram first. We are having a tall building there. Let me show you. Just want to put it in a diagram so that you'll be able to see how simple it is. We have a tower viewing point. Then we are having a level ground. And we are saying the angle of depression. The angle of depression is 32. So angle of depression means from the horizontal line of sight there, we're supposed to turn our eyes through 32. Supposed to turn our eyes through 32. And through that we shall observe an object which is here. Then go, this is an object. But now vertically above it, we should be able to find a plane now. A plane is up there. And it can be observed from the same viewpoint through an angle of 43. Through an angle of 43. Yeah, through an angle of 43 like that. What we should know is that this is 30 meters according to the instructions here. That is 30 meters. So with this knowledge now, we should be able to also know that the 30 centimeter there, or the 30 meters there, the 30 meters there should be implied at this point, which is part of the height between the object and the plane. It's part of the height there. Then now we should be able to first compute this particular distance. Let me call it x. With the vertical height at this point and x there we need, then the angle provided is 32. I think we should talk about tangent. The hypotenuse is not given. So the tangent of 32 degrees should be given by opposite side of 30 out of a known adjacent x. I'm using triangle A, O, B. O is object. So the tan of 32 should be given by opposite length 30 out of adjacent length x. How can we get x? 30 over tan 32. 30 over tan 32. This is 48.01. 48.01 meters. This is 48.01 meters. Now with this distance, we can now find the small h here, whereby we use again tangent. The tan of 43 should be given by the opposite h out of the adjacent 48.01, meaning that h equals to 48.01 tan 43. So this one multiplied by tan 43 is taking us to 44.77. 44.77. Then after that, we can talk about now the total height, whereby there is 44.77. Then we add 30. What does this give us? 74.77. But remember 3 SF. So it would be 74.8. That is now the height between the object on the ground and the plane, which is vertically above it. The whole height from object to P. Yeah, from object here to P, the whole height here. Because we're already having 30 and we have found the 44. Small h here, 44. So the total height now shall be 30 plus 44.77. Remembering that we need the answer in 3 decimal points. So that's how we work out that part. What about number 11? Another good question. In number 11, given that P equals to 10I plus 7J and Q equals to 4I minus 2J, find the value of half P plus 2Q, correct 2 decimal places. Remember the 2 strokes there mean the magnitude of the vector. Let's first find half vector P, which is 10, 7. Can pick the coordinates. from the unit vectors there, 2 and Q for -2, according to 4 and -2, 10 and 7. See that? So this should be 5, 3.5, because I have should multiply everything, plus 8 minus 8, like that. 2 multiplies everything also in the second one. So here we are getting 13, and on the other side, we need 3.5 minus 8, giving us -4.5. Yeah, that way. Therefore, with this now, we can find now the magnitude. We've already found the vector RP plus 2Q. What about the magnitude of this now? The magnitude needs the x values squared plus -4.5 also squared. Then we carry out the square root. So this shall be plus, then we take square root. We're going to get 13.756 to 2 dp. It shall be 13.76 units. So that is it. You just use your calculator there to find the answers. Position vectors, multiplication of vectors by scalar multiples like a half and 2. After that, we have computing what you call the magnitude of a vector, which can be typed in symbols. This means magnitude of a vector. So you should be able to interpret mathematical symbols and what they mean. Number 12, ladies and gentlemen, each interior angle of a regular polygon is 120 larger than an exterior angle. Find the number of sides of the polygon. We know that exterior angle plus interior angle should give us 180. Then we can let interior, no, let me use the exterior. Let the exterior be equal to x, so that the interior then, according to this statement, shall be 120 larger than the exterior one. So when we take x plus 120 plus x, we're supposed to get 180, because the value of the exterior, the value of the interior should give us 180. 2x plus 120 should give us 180. 2x equals 2. When we take 180 and we subtract 120, ladies and gentlemen, we get 60. So that the value of x now becomes 30. This is the size of the exterior angle. And we all know that the sum of all exterior angles should be 360, regardless of the polygon that we're dealing with. So we say that the sum of exterior angles equals to 360. So we can get the size of each exterior angle. So each exterior angle shall be, no, not each of the exterior angles. Actually, we're talking about the number. Simply because, I will tell you the reason why we're doing that. If all of them are added to give us 360, and they are 30 each is equal to 30, then how many are they for them to give us 360? So 360 divided by the size of one, so that it gives us 12. Yeah, 12 sides. 12 sides. So the answer is 12 sides. A very good question. Very interesting question. Let's check number 13. A watch loses 8 seconds every hour. It was set to read the correct time at 11:00 hours on Sunday. Determine the time in 12-hour clock system the watch will show on the following Thursday when the correct time is 05:00 hours. So it was correct time at 11 on Sunday, and we want to proceed up to 0500 on Thursday. How many hours are in between? So from Sunday to Monday first, then from Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday. I want to hope that I have the days are in order. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right, that way. And now I want to check the number of hours here. From 1100 hours all the way to Monday, how many hours were there? 24 hours minus 11. So there are 13 hours there. Then the whole of this day, 24 hours, 24 hours. But now from Wednesday, we're only having 9 hours on 5 hours because it is 0500 hours, not the whole of Thursday. So how many hours are here? The hours are 13 plus 24 plus 24 plus 5. 13 plus 24 plus 24 plus 5. This gives us 66 hours. Yeah, that gives 66 hours. Then with the 60 hours, now we say for every hour, the watch loses 8 seconds. So how many seconds have been lost? 8 times 66 hours. So the hours lost, no, the seconds lost are 528 seconds. 528 seconds have been lost. If 528 seconds have been lost, then we can check how many minutes they are. We have, this is 8 minutes. We see 8 minutes. When we multiply 8 by 60, it's 480. So 528 minus 480, it means we are remaining with 48 seconds. 480 minutes and 48 seconds. 480 minutes, 88 minutes and 48 seconds. When we convert that. When the correct time was 5. So now we're supposed to subtract from 5 hours. These are hours, these are minutes, and these are seconds. So 8 minutes, 48 seconds. So it should be reading when we subtract. We can take 60 seconds minus 48. We get 12 seconds. And now, remember, we're not having minutes there, so we had to borrow 1 minute there, a whole hour. We borrowed 1 minute, which became 60 seconds. Then now, we are having now the 1 hour, which was brought here, now is having 59 minutes. See, the 1 hour that was placed there now is having 59 minutes because one of the minutes has been borrowed. So 59 minutes minus 8, we get 51. Then this becomes now 4. Yeah, so it shall be, this is the time displayed, but technically now it shall be 0, 4, 51 hours, meaning that it should be 4:51 a.m. on Thursday. 4:51 a.m. on Thursday. Just that. 4:51 a.m. on Thursday. The ratio of men to women in a self-help group is 8:13. 2 more men joined the group, while 5 women withdrew from membership from the group. They withdrew their membership from the group. The new ratio of men to women is 7:10. Find the original number of men, find the original number of women in the group. Find the original number of women in the group. Okay, look at this. If we let men, let's let men be X and women to be Y. So X over Y, which is the ratio now, we can make the ratio a fraction like that. Then we get an equation for this. Cross multiplication will give us 8y equals to 13x. Then again, we are told that 2 men joined. So x became now 2 more. And some women withdrew. How many women? 5 women withdrew. Minus 5. This now gave us a new ratio. 7:10. So 7/10. Look at that. 7 out of 10. So with that, now we can get a second equation to relate the same self-help group. So we cross multiply and we shall have 7y minus 35 equals to 10x plus 20. 10x plus 20 like that. Arranging the equations here and there, we'll end up having 7y minus 10x minus 10x. Let me check something with my eraser. Checking something with my eraser. Okay. So when we subtract, okay. Okay. Let me check these. Minus 10x equals to 20 plus 35, 55. With this now, we can call it our equation 2. Then we solve for x and y. The value of y from equation 1, the value of y can be equal to 13 out of 8, the value of x, because I have to divide by 8 through by 8 through. So I can rewrite equation 2, 7 instead of y, 13/8, x minus 10x equals to 55. At this point now, I can talk about 7/13 out of 8. That would be, then minus 10. Let me work it out actually at the same time. So 1.375x equals to 55. The value of x shall be 55 out of 1.375. This becomes exactly 40. So x equals to 40. When x equals to 40, the value of y shall be 13/8 by 40 because of this. So we get it as 40 multiplied by 13/8, exactly 65. So originally, women were 65 and men were 40. Find the original number of women. This is the number of women. That is the number of women according to what we have. That is the number of women. A very good question on ratios. Number 15, ladies and gentlemen, the figure below shows a triangle PQR whose area is 20.07789 square centimeters. The sides PQ are equal to 7.2, PR 9 centimeters, just as you can see in the diagram. Find the length of QR correct to 1 dp. Allow me apply the formula of area of a triangle to first get the angle at P. Then from there, we shall proceed to find other things. Okay. Area is usually given by half AB sine beta. In this case, A and B are two sides, and beta is the angle between them. And beta is the angle between them. So we can have beta at that point and say that the area, which is 24.07789, equals to half multiplied by one side times the other side, the sine of the angle between the two sides. So with this now, we can get the value of sine beta as 24.07789. So we multiply this by 2 and we divide by 7.2 multiplied by 9. This gives us sine beta as 0.74314. Yeah. Then beta shall be the sine inverse now. Shift sine of the value there so that you get 47.9999. You see, when 9 is continuous until the sixth significant figure, then we can round this to 48 degrees. So the angle here is 48 degrees. Now with the angle there, we can find the opposite length, which is P. We usually say that according to the cosine rule, yeah? P squared should be equal to the length here, we call it R, and the length here, we call it Q. So R squared, 7.2, plus Q squared, 9 squared, minus 2 multiplied by R, Q, then cosine of the angle at P, which is 48. So cos 48 like that. Let me compute a few things there. Actually, I'll work out everything using the calculator now. 7.2 squared plus 9 squared. I'm getting 132.84. Then I subtract and I open brackets. 2 times 7.2 times 9. The cosine of 48. Now this gives us 46.123. So P squared, let me change this. Or let me use the blue here. P squared equals to 46.12. 1207. 1207. So the value of P shall be the square root of 46 point. So this square root now gives us 6.79. But remember, we need it to 1 dp. So 6.8. centimeters. 6.8 centimeters. That is it. 6.8 centimeters. A very good question. Very good question. Very good application of trigonometry. We can look at number 16, that is, which is the last question. Yeah, thank you guys for following. Remember our consultation line 0704 15 33 66 Look at number 16. A trader bought 8 cows and 12 goats for a total of 294,000 Kenya shillings. If he had bought 1 more cow and 3 more goats, he would have spent 337,500 Kenya shillings. Use the matrix method to determine the cost of a cow and that of a goat. Let's let the cost of a cow be X, the cost of a goat to be Y. So 8 cows, 8 by a cow, plus 12 by the cost of a goat. This should give us 294,000. Then again, we say if he had bought 1 more cow, meaning that 9 by the price of a cow, and 3 more goats, meaning 15 times the price of a goat. Now this should have totaled to like that. This is now the matrix equation. We are supposed now to solve this one. Okay, they are linear equations, but we can make them matrix equations. So we extract the coefficients 8. We start with 8, 12, 9, 15. It's called the coefficients matrix, then the variables matrix, and the constants matrix. The constants matrix there. Then now we look at what we call the inverse of the coefficients matrix. So we need to look at the coefficients matrix and we find its inverse. Look at this. For us to find inverse, we need the determinant first. So 8 by 15, that is the product of the elements in the leading diagonal, minus 9 by 12, product of the elements in the other diagonal. This gives us 8 by 15 minus 9 by 12. 8 by 15, 9 by 12, giving us exactly 12. If we get 12 now, we say that the inverse shall be, we divide every element by 12, but now we have to first change the position of 15 and 8 and the sign for 12 and 9. So 12 and 9 changes their sign, 15 and 8 changes their position. That is the inverse. That is the inverse. Remember, we can divide 15 over 12. Yeah, we can actually divide so that we have it as 1.25 negative 1. So negative 9 over 12, we get negative 0.75. Then 8 over 12, we get 2/3. Yeah, let me use 2/3 so that I have exact values. 2 values. That is now the inverse. So we pre-multiply both sides now, whereby we start with 1.25 negative 1, negative 0.75, and this is 2/3. This multiplies 8, 12, 9, 15, then xy. This is equal to, again, 1.25 negative 1, negative 0.75, then 2/3. This one is pre-multiplying what? This pre-multiplies 294,000 and 337,500, like that. So we have pre-multiplied. One thing that we're supposed to tell ourselves is that a matrix times its own inverse, as you can see on the left-hand side. A matrix times its own inverse should give us what we call the identity matrix. So we don't have to carry out the multiplication. It shall be so automatic that now we get from the left-hand side 1001. Yeah, 1001. Then this multiplies xy. This is equal to. Now we are supposed to work out now multiplication on the other side, whereby now we need row times column. This row times the whole column here. So we start with 1.25 into 294,000, then negative 1 into 337,500. This gives us exactly 30,000. Then the second row by the same column. So negative 0.75 into 294,000. Then we add 2/3 into 337,500. Now this gives me 4,500. With this now we'll be able to say that the identity matrix times any matrix, that matrix now remains unchanged. And if this is what we are having finally, now we say X, which is the cost of a cow, should be 30,000. And Y, which is the cost of a goat, should be 4,500. So that's how the paper was. A very involving paper, which requires a very composed learner, very composed student, so that you may scoop all the marks. Otherwise, the paper is very doable. You can get all these materials through our number 0704 153366. Thank you so much for following. Remember to share and also to subscribe.